Welcome to Inside Rugby. My name's Mark. I'm a Kiwi rugby fan living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico, and in this video I'm going to give you my reaction to the game that's just finished a few minutes ago between the New Zealand All Blacks and Italy, being played in Lyon. Hey, welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. It's nice to have you along, and I hope you're enjoying the Rugby World Cup from France as much as I am. And in this video I'm going to give you a review and my reaction on that game from Lyon tonight. What a game it was indeed. So before we get into this game, I just want to show you something that I put on my community page, and that was a poll to see what you think and who was going to win this game. And 24% of you, as you can see, thought that Italy had a good chance of winning this game. Now, I gave Italy a slim chance in this game. I thought that they'd come in with some good form, and I thought the All Blacks were going to be under a little bit of pressure at times from Italy. Oh boy, how wrong did I get this one. And I didn't think Italy was going to win the game, but I thought they might put the All Blacks under a little bit more pressure than what they actually did. Now, usually I go through a review by pretty much minute by minute, try by try in my reviews in this game, but because there were so many tries scored in this game, I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to give you my overall reaction and give you a summary of what I thought of this game. Now, the All Blacks had to go away after that Namibia game and actually bring themselves together, and they had a week off last week to do that, and I thought that was an important part of this build-up. And if you'd watched any of the presses that have gone out from the Kiwis, they're talking about building into this tournament, and I think Ian Foster, Joe Schmidt and Jason Ryan have a plan on how they're going to bring the All Blacks through this tournament and get them prepared for whatever they face in that knockout stage. And I think we saw the coming together of that tonight in Lyon in no uncertain terms. Now, a couple of things before the game got underway. Sam Whitelock for New Zealand was going to get his 149th cap. He was sitting on the bench and was due to come on at some time in the game, which he did do in the second half. So an amazing career so far from Sam Whitelock. He now goes ahead of Richie McCaw and becomes the most cap New Zealand All Black in the history of the game. What a fantastic achievement, and something to be very, very proud of course, for his country. So that aside, we had 57,000 fans pack into the Lyon Stadium tonight, and a lot of them were Italians who come across the border. It's pretty close to Italy indeed, and a lot of them flooded over to give their team a lot of support. And I think they had a lot of kind of confidence going into this game that Italy could just rock the All Blacks a little bit if they got them under pressure. But the game got underway, and Italy started off pretty well indeed. In fact, in those first couple of minutes they got a few phases together, and they looked like at least they were going to give it a go and run the ball from whenever they could in this particular game. But the All Blacks did exactly the same thing. The thing that impressed me with the All Blacks in that first 15 minutes of the game was they just settled into the game and got their structures right, and they really looked like they were just setting themselves up to have an onslaught of tries. And after that 18-minute mark, and the floodgates just totally opened up, and they were able to absolutely crush the Italians in that first half. And it was a very, very impressive display from the All Blacks, and it was a very disappointing display from the Italians, I must say. I did give them more credit than this. I think they fell off a lot of tackles unnecessarily. The heart wasn't in it, and I think we saw through the All Blacks' intentions when the haka was done tonight. I saw that look in their eyes, and I saw that passion they were bringing into this game. And obviously they've had a really good build-up during the week to get into this game. They know they wanted to put down a marker tonight, and they wanted to be standing up while everybody else has been talking about Ireland and South Africa and the other possibilities. France, of course, the host nation. The All Blacks, I think, after that loss to France in the first game, they were put off the mantelpiece a little bit, and I think they wanted to come back and make a statement. And I know a lot of people that watch my videos are going to say, I never wrote the All Blacks off, I knew they would be back. But I don't think anyone anticipated seeing this kind of score against Italy tonight. In fact, now for me, there's always two different phases of a game like this. The first one is when you have an enormous first half like the All Blacks did, 49 points to 3 at half time, an absolutely dominating performance. In fact, we saw 20 minutes from the All Blacks at Mount Smart Stadium against the Springboks earlier this year, which was absolutely dominant. But in this game, they carried that on for 43 minutes in the first half, and it was pretty close to perfection in terms of rugby execution. Their accuracy was right on point, and in every aspect of the game, they were pinpoint on target, with line-out steals, with scrum domination, with breaks in the back line, with breakdown clearances. It was right across the park. It wasn't one particular area of the game that I felt the All Blacks really dominated in that first half. And I think if you went into the sheds at half-time, there must have been a kind of unique adrenaline going within the All Black camp, because I think they would have known that they put together almost a perfect half of rugby against a competition that's not a supposed Namibia or Romania or somebody like that. So I think there would have been a lot of buzz going on after that first half, and it showed a little bit in the second half, because Italy came out firing in the second half and they dominated the first few minutes. In fact, they got a few penalties against the All Blacks, and the All Blacks' indiscretion came out when they were put under a little bit of pressure for about 4 or 5 minutes in that second half. But once again, it didn't last too long before the All Blacks turned it over and started going on another waterfall of tries in the second half. So I mentioned in my preview to this game that the All Blacks were fielding a pretty much A team for this game, and having Whitelock coming off the bench was an interesting move, because it gave Scott Barrett and Brodie Retallick an opportunity to get out there and do their stuff at lock. And of course, with Retallick coming back from injury recently, he needs the game time, and I think that was a good strategy from Jason Ryan, the forwards coach, and also Ian Foster, of course. But the All Blacks really got dominating in that first half, and it was really good to see the angles they were running, the tempo of the game. I kind of wrote down some notes, and I said, you know, this is an All Black team that's expressing itself, and they're doing it in a sense of freedom, in a way that yep, there was a high risk reward element to it, but when you start expressing yourself at that level and it starts working, then the confidence just starts going beyond belief. And that's what we saw particularly in that first half. And Adi Savia made a really good comment at the end of the game, and he said he was proud of the team because they went out there and they did actually express themselves, and they played. There's lots of words you can use to describe a performance like this: clinical, accurate, dominating. 14 tries, 13 conversions. Richie Mo'unga was on point with his conversions tonight, and that was really good to see, because he had some difficult ones from the sideline from both sides of the field, and he put all of those over except for one, which was a really good performance. And Damien McKenzie, when he came on in the second half, did the same thing as well. So the accuracy from goal kicking was really on point for New Zealand tonight. And you know, we've got to take away the fact that it wasn't a close game, so there wasn't that pressure there of the scoreboard clock, and they had a bit of freedom. So when it comes to kicking time, you relax a little bit more, and obviously you become more successful. But you can only play what's put in front of you, and that's what the All Blacks did very well tonight. And I thought after that first 5 minutes of the second half, and they got back on the roll again, and some of that was their reserves coming on as well. They emptied the bench basically, and gave a whole new look to the team. So we had a new front row coming on. Dan Coles was in there. We had a new half pairing between Roy Gard and McKenzie coming in as well. And we had Anton Leonard-Brown coming in the backs for Geordie Barrett, who's coming back from that injury. So I thought for the first time in a while, we saw an All Black bench come on and being able to maintain the momentum that first group got in the first half. And that was a really positive that came out of this game for me as well. So I don't think many of us were expecting the All Blacks to score 96 points against Italy. I think that's the surprising factor that's come out of this game, and how easily Italy capitulated after that first half was a little bit disappointing. And I think Kieran Crowley will really need to do a lot of psychological work to get these guys buoyed up now, because they're going to get France next, and on a hammering like this, there's going to be a lot of soul searching going on with that Italian team. So I'm a little bit sorry for them, because they didn't deserve this. They played well in their first two games, and they just came up against an All Black team that was very focused and very accurate tonight in everything that they did on the field. A couple of things that I really liked about this All Black team: Adi Savia as the captain. I really think that's a great move, and he brings a different spirit. That's all I'll say in terms of that. I just think he really shows his passion. He's kind of the All Black Sia Khaleesi in a way, and he just brings that spirit into the game, and that makes great men behind him follow him and run at the same passion. And I think that's something that Savia has over top of Sam Cane. And I'm not saying Sam Cane's a bad leader. They've got different styles of leadership, and I think Adi Savira, as we're seeing, as he gets more and more opportunities to captain this team, communicates himself across the team from what we can see from a distance. I'm just calling it that way. So the All Blacks were fairly clinical in all the backs. I think we went through the whole back line. Geordie Barrett was really good coming back into the team after his injury, and didn't really miss a beat. I think his line kicking was sensational. He got some really good territory gains, and I think that was a good plus for the All Blacks to use Geordie Barrett in that capacity. So Richie Mo'unga wasn't taking the kicks for line in this game, it was Geordie Barrett, and that really got the All Blacks going along on the emphasis when they got a penalty. The lineouts were really good. They stole a lot of lineouts from the Italians as well, and I think if I look at the stats, All Blacks were just totally dominant in the set piece. They won 15 out of 15 of their own lineouts, and they really put pressure on Italy, stealing quite a number of lineouts from them as well. So that was really good to see. And one of the architects in that was Shannon Frizzell, who was of course coming back from injury and having his first game in this year's Rugby World Cup for the All Blacks. He played really well until he went off and got some really good game time, and he was really good at the breakdown. I was watching him, and it's somebody that they really needed in there for the All Blacks. Was Shannon Frizzell, did a fantastic job. Aaron Smith got 3 tries, was busy everywhere, managing the All Black forwards around the pitch and doing his normal great distribution, but they didn't lose anything at all when Roygaard came on in the second half. And in fact, I just thought, as I have done throughout this tournament, that Roygaard brings something a little bit different for the All Blacks, which is a good thing, and it gives the opposition something different to look at when he's in the team. And there was one particular kick he took from the base of the ruck with his left foot that just showed another dimension to his game as well. Cam Roygaard, really good executioner there for the All Blacks at halfback when he comes on. So because they were under so much pressure, Italy received 14 penalties to the All Blacks 7. So discipline was also good on the All Blacks side, and that's something they would be pleased with as well, because in their previous games, not only in the World Cup but leading up to the World Cup, they were having some discipline issues. Now the only thing I'm going to say about this game in a negative sense for the All Blacks is they weren't put under any pressure, and we saw a couple of times when they were, Italy scored tries. So that goes to say that when they come up against another team that can give them a good battle in the forwards and run at them, then the All Blacks are susceptible to having their line opened up, and that's something I'll put there as a little asterisk over this game that we'll need to have a look at, because in the second half Italy scored 2 tries, and both times the All Blacks defence, they cracked open and Italy were able to go through. Now if that was an Ireland, a South Africa or a France, and they're winning more ball and having more opportunities to do that, then that's when the All Blacks are going to be really under the test. And we didn't see that tonight because Italy weren't playing at that particular level in this game. But I'm not going to detract from it. It was a fantastic game by the All Blacks. They were unbeatable tonight with this Italy team, and they really executed everything of their game plan, I think, across the whole pitch. So whilst there's a lot of star out players for me in terms of the ones that scored tries, there was a lot of work going on as well, and I thought the All Black front row played very well tonight. They really dominated the scrum. And that was a question mark that a number of you had put in the comments, that the All Black front row wasn't up to the level required, and Tyrell Lomax came back on in the second half, and it was good to see him back in the game and looking good. He's a great addition to this All Black front row. So this was a great game for the All Blacks for a number of reasons. It would have got their mojo back. It got their combinations going. They were very good on offence. I thought Mark Talia had a really good game, probably better than Will Jordan, I think, even though Will Jordan scored the tries. A couple of things Will Jordan did, he just missed the mark in terms of accuracy, but Mark Talia was very good, and he looks very dangerous in open play, and he did a couple of good things to set up runs for other people in tonight's game. So Italy missed 31 tackles in the game, and it's going to be interesting when the All Blacks come up against a team that don't miss 31 tackles, and I say put them under a lot of pressure, but they could only play against what was in front of them tonight, and they did that very effectively. So I think the All Blacks are going to go away. I think there was no injuries there, although Brodie Retallick did go off with about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to play. I'm not sure whether that was a problem with his knee. It left the All Blacks down to 14 men. So I will just have to check on that one. It's a bit early to find out what's happened with that one with Brodie Retallick, but it looked like all the rest of the All Blacks got away unscathed. No disciplinary issues with cards, so that was good as well. And they can get ready for that last game in the pool competition now, which is going to be against Uruguay next weekend back in Lyon, and that's going to set up the All Blacks really well now as they head into the knockout stage for the Rugby World Cup. I think this Italy game came along at a really good time. They had that loss against France, they had that easy win against Namibia, then they had a week off and they had an opportunity to go away and think about what they wanted to do that was better than what they produced in that France game, and they knew Italy was going to give them a little bit of opposition tonight, but they came out in that first 20 minutes and they set the scene for a really fantastic first half of rugby. And as we've seen again this year with them against South Africa at Mount Smart, when they put those combinations together and they get on top of a team, they can absolutely steamroll them, and that's what they did in that first half. I was more impressed with the first half than the second half, but the game was well over by half time. But I think the All Blacks really showed through their first team in the first half how dominating they can be against the team when they start to fall off their defence. It's only going to get harder now though as they get through the tournament, and I think that quarter-final game is going to be set up really nicely now. It's going to be a hell of an affair, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity, I think, for both teams in that game if it is Ireland versus the All Blacks. Based on tonight's performance, I wouldn't think Italy are going to give France any trouble at all, so we're going to see the French and the All Blacks more than likely go through from this group as expected, and that's going to set up a big showdown now in the quarterfinals of this year's Rugby World Cup, as we were expecting. Of course, there's going to be plenty of videos made about that as we get closer to it, but for today, let's enjoy what was a very dominating game of rugby union by the New Zealand All Blacks. They really bounced back. They put on a cricket score against Italy and even outscored them compared to what they did against Namibia, so that was interesting as well. So a great performance. Let me know in the comments who your favourite players were tonight. There was a lot of them for the All Blacks. Did Italy fall away a bit too easy for you? Did you think they were going to put on a little bit more of a opposition for the All Blacks, or was that something that you were expecting? 24% of you thought that Italy were going to win this game, so I'd be interested to hear from you as well. The All Blacks overall performance, set pieces fantastic, scrums very strong, lineouts very good, won every one of their own lineouts and made a disruption to the Italians. Their set pieces and their exit from their set pieces was phenomenal. They scored a couple of tries from their set pieces, and rolling mauls from the lineout was very good tonight, and they were accurate in scoring tries from that particular set piece as well. I thought their open play was good. Mo'unga and Geordie Barrett and Ioane were doing very good things, and when McKenzie came on, he opened up the other side of the field, used the blind side effectively on a couple of occasions, and got some very good breaks in as well. As I said, using Geordie Barrett to do the clearing for touch was a good idea, and something a little bit different for the All Blacks rather than Mo'unga taking those kicks, and that added an extra few metres on to the All Blacks' emphasis, so that was really good. On defence, I thought they were good at times, the All Blacks, although those tries from Italy were well managed, and the All Blacks didn't shut them down, so that's something they'll have to go away and have a closer look at if they're going to be a little bit critical of the things that they did in this game. I thought the All Blacks ball handling was very good, and if you look at some of the short passes that were going on tonight and some of the kind of comical passes that were happening, the All Blacks were their handling errors were very minimal, and they were being able to capture those passes on the front foot going forward. So I thought the ball in hand management of the All Blacks tonight was very good indeed. Piece of bad news for Italy, Lamb went off at half time. He was on crutches, so that didn't look very good. I hope he's okay. It's never good to see one of your players for your country ending up on crutches and not finishing the game. He had a very good first half, by the way, I thought, for Italy, and there was a few outstanding players for Italy. I thought Lamero, the captain, gave his heart and everything he could into that game. Capizio on the wing for Italy, he tried and got a couple of breaks and brought the ball back from open play on a couple of occasions. That was very good. Tommaso Allen carried on his good record with the boot and had a couple of good kicks for goal that went over as well. But all in all, I thought Italy were sensationally outplayed by the All Blacks tonight. There's no doubt about it. Italy had probably a good first few minutes of both halves, and they scored those two tries in the second half were basically their highlights of this particular game. But I think it'll be a worrying concern for Kieran Crowley that Italy rolled over so easily in this game, and with only a week to pick the guys up and get them ready for that French game, they've got a lot of work to do in the background. Now we've got a super weekend of rugby coming up again in the Rugby World Cup, starting tomorrow morning in my time with Argentina and Chile, and right through to the last game of the weekend where we're going to see South Africa playing Tonga. So it's a great weekend for rugby. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on my channel here at Inside Rugby, because I'm going to be covering the games, giving you some previews and some thoughts afterwards on how these games pan out in the weekend. And we should see some of the pools decided after this weekend, or at least some teams having their last say. And let's see what Australia is able to do against Portugal, or shall I say, let's see what Portugal is able to do against Australia. So there we go, that's my video having a quick recount of the All Blacks versus Italy today. Not the score that we probably all thought it was going to be, but it was a dominating performance by the New Zealand All Blacks. Drop me your comments on what you thought about this game, and I look forward to reading all of those. I'll be back again soon with more videos from the Rugby World Cup. My name's Mark for Inside Rugby. Until then, stay well, stay safe, and keep enjoying this amazing Rugby World Cup from France.